Hey, you. Yeah, you, come here. I want to show you. This is what happened last time on the Incorrigible party.
After Falzarin's death on the frozen lake, the party's only option is to ask the paladin's captive goblin for help, agreeing to owe a favor to his god if he calls out to it. Mia, Shaft, and Shakara unknowingly commit themselves to a Nyogi deity. With a bit of luck and a display of theatrics, it seems to have brought Falzarin back to the land of the living.
And over here? The adventure continues.
Falzarin, you wake up to find yourself laying on the ground, staring up at nothing but gray. And as you stand up and kind of survey around, all there is gray. A landscape of nothing. No features, no landmarks. It doesn't even look like there is a ground beneath you, which you're on. It's like this void. And as you're turning around and looking around, like completing like a full circle. But what you're standing on, even though there's nothing there, like it feels solid. And you can place a hand on like your own chest, and you, like your person feels solid, but you feel light, almost floaty. But getting to your feet, you've kind of naturally assumed this direction, like a downward direction, right? Where on what you're standing would be considered to be down. But as you're completing this circle and you're kind of returning to the direction that you were originally facing when you stood up, something has appeared. A city now lies far in the distance, surrounded by what looks like a massive wall, tall enough to block all but the highest, the highest roof of the buildings within it, except for one single structure. A shimmering spire lances like into this gray void that somehow catches and reflects glints of color from a sun and a source of light that clearly does not shine here. There's nothing in the sky that would indicate any type of sun or stars or anything like that.
How far away does this look? Could I walk there, do I think, in like a reasonable amount of time?
Well, you can certainly make out you can kind of get the scope of it, so it seems like it's a few miles away.
Okay. I think first I will just tentatively, try to take a step forward and see if my foot gets purchase on more solid whatever I'm standing on.
Walking, it doesn't quite feel natural here. It takes a number of steps before you adjust to that kind of weightless feeling that you have here. But you're able to quickly adjust and do so, and you almost like intuitively gain this understanding of like the physical mechanics of movement here. At first, it seems to require more thought to make your limbs move rather than it being like an instant, like you don't think about thinking to make yourself move, right? But here, at first, you kind of do. You have to like concentrate to get your body to do what you want it to do, to lift your feet off of the void of which you stand and put one step forward. But again, that quickly becomes like automatic, as it would be if you were moving like on the material plane, because clearly you were somewhere different.
Right. Okay. I think since that's all I can really see for 360 degrees, I'm going to head toward this mysterious city, and I'll spend however long it takes to get there, I guess.
You quickly discover that judging distance here is unreliable at best. The city, it never seems to draw closer as you try to progress towards it. Walking, for what feels like 10 minutes, 30, an hour, and it feels as if you've made no progress. And throughout that time period, twice, the city is suddenly behind you, as if you've gotten turned around, though you haven't moved anywhere but forward. And then you reorient yourself and you continue to move towards it once more.
Do I have any of my possessions? Like, do I have my bag of holding? Do I have any of my other bags?
You do seem to have everything with you.
Okay. I think Falzern's feeling a little bit confused and unsure how to solve this dilemma of not being able to get any closer to where he wants to go. I think he's going to test to see if his magic still works. So I will try to just cast Mage Hand, one of my cantrips, and see if I am able to do that.
As you make the movements, the somatic and verbal, it's like you successfully cast, but it's almost like you cast more quickly than you would, I suppose, if you were to break it down into mechanics. Rather than it being an action, it's like you've done it as a bonus action. As the swift casting, which obviously is not normal.
Okay, so my magic feels maybe not more powerful, but more easy to do here.
Yeah, it seems like you can almost like access the arcane pool that you draw from, the spell weave. Like you just have a better access to it. It seems here.
Okay, cool. Do I have Denny in my bag of holding?
You reach and you open your bag of holding and attempt to grab something, but it's just black in there. It's another type of void. And reach your hand in and try to call something out of it, and it seems like it doesn't work. As you're casting your magic, and you're almost like reminding yourself of these items that you had before, and like how you used them, and like you didn't even really realize how clouded your thoughts were when you first woke up and started moving towards this city. It's like as if you were also kind of blanketed with this gray of which you're surrounded in your own thoughts, and then they start to clear up with these reminders, and the last thing that you do remember is being on the frozen lake, fighting the Rema elementals, and the adult shattering and exploding, and you taking a burst of fire and ice shards, and then just black, and you woke up here.
I think I'm going to call out, see if anyone hears me. It doesn't seem like it's likely that anyone's close enough to hear me, but I'm not sure. I think Falzern's not sure what else to do. Walking doesn't seem to be accomplishing what you would expect it would here, and I don't really have any other way to travel distances very easily. So I'm just gonna yell, and see if I get any response, or if there's anything that happens when I yell. Hello out there. Is anybody here? Can anybody hear me?
Your words kind of echo in this nothing, which again is strange because there's nothing for those sound waves to actually bounce off of to come back to you, right? Like as if it's not like you're in a canyon or something, right? And there's stone walls for the sound to bounce, but it still seems to echo. And what echoes back to you is this moan, this groan. Help. And it's a number of different voices, right? It's nothing, I don't know, they almost seem like indistinct, but you can clearly, it's like this chorus of a response, and it too echoes to you, like you hear the echoes of it.
I'm going to call out Alamar's name.
Okay.
Alamar, are you out there? Can you hear me?
Falzarin. If you're here, this truly is hell.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so I hear voices. They sound very, very distant, and obviously I don't see any bodies.
Right.
Alamar, old friend. I'm sure we're both happy to hear each other's voice. Where? I just arrived in this unusual place. Where are we? Who else is here? 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 Who else is here?
This is death.
No, that can't be right. I have so much more to do. I'm too young. I'm in my prime.
In the city you'll be judged.
That's the problem, Alamar. I can't get to the city. I walk and it doesn't get any closer, and I seem to get turned around. 1 minute it's in front of me, then it's behind me.
Things are strange here in the fugue plane. You must just press forward. The city is the only way you may get back.
Well, then I shall try to reach it, I guess. Have you been to the city? Are you coming back, Alamar? We could use your help. Aspara is in a bad situation.
I've been deemed faithless. I remain here in agony.
Oh dear. Well, perhaps I can say something on your behalf that could change their mind.
Do not make my circumstances worse.
Okay. I guess we'll see if you'll have a companion here soon enough. Okay, so Falzarin is just gonna keep plodding away, even though it seems like he's not making any progress. He's just gonna keep trying to walk towards the city as long as it takes, I guess.
And again, the passage of time, it's really like there's nothing to show the passage of time, right? So it's all just what you can internally are trying to keep track of. But suddenly, after another extended period of time, you're there. It's as if you crossed a street to get to a building on the other side of it. You're at the metal gates of this city, and you're at the encircling wall that contains it. And the moaning and the wailing is no longer echoing, as it is clearly emanating from this 30-foot high stone wall. The construction of it has countless bodies embedded into the stone, melded into it as if they've sprouted from it. They're part of it. You see limbs and skulls, half-rotted faces in the surface of the stone. Arms reach out for you from dozens of people, half consumed by it, the stone. Still alive, clearly suffering. Some attached to it, like at the waist. Some look as if they've been vertically bisected and just stuck to the wall. All around the contact points of these pieces of people, there's this green mold that seems to flourish, and it pulses almost in time to the wails of agony.
So I'm still outside the city looking at this wall.
That's right. You're right at the gates, and you kind of take in this scene and don't have too much time to react before you hear a clunk and another groan, this time of metal, as the gates open. They look like humans in full plate armor. The armor gleams like the spire kind of does that from you spotted in the distance, and they hail you. One of the two speaks. Welcome to the City of Judgment. Please accompany us to the Crystal Spire to determine the fate of your eternal soul.
Hello. There must be some mistake. I don't think I should be here. What's happened to me? How did?
Yeah, we We get this a lot every time we open these gates. I'll give you the same shtick I give, the same spiel that I give every single time. And he kind of pulls out like a little scrap of parchment, right, to read off of. We're very dearly sorry to inform you that you are no longer part of the living. You must be judged. From then, you may have a happy afterlife or succumb to the wall of the faithless. And then folds up the paper.
The wall of the faithless. That thing looks terrible.
It's unpleasant, yeah.
No, I think I have a friend who there must have been some mistake. I heard his voice coming from there, and surely he doesn't belong on that wall. Perhaps there's some management here I can speak to file an official request that they revisit his case.
You can speak to the judge when he judges you.
Okay. Well, I will certainly do that.
Follow us.
Okay, so Falzarin will follow.
Okay, you step through the threshold. They close the gates behind you. Another large clunk as it kind of locks, right? And they take you through this city. It's a fairly sizable city. The structures of which are pretty, they're just very plain, made of stone. Nothing really more than 2 stories. That spire looming from the center of it above you, right? The people you pass in the streets, as the streets are quite crowded, it's almost a little unnerving. Everyone here just seems despondent, vacant almost. They're just wandering around quite aimlessly, as if they're lost. Like a glassy stare on their faces. Everyone shuffling, left to right, making, moving, but going nowhere.
What about these people that are just within the city? They're not in the wall of, and are they living out this blissful? I don't understand.
Those are the petitioners. They've been judged. They're neither, they're not faithless, so they don't get to the wall. They're basically waiting for their gods to come and get them.
Oh.
Some of them haven't even clued in that they're gone, that they're dead. It doesn't really matter what you tell some of them.
And just very, very almost academic, a hypothetical situation. What if someone were to not have an association with a god?
Well, that is the academic, as you say, definition of faithless.
Right. Yes, of course. That makes sense. Falzarin sort of shrinks a little bit in on himself. Perhaps a little bit of sweat starts to develop on his brow. He's kind of just if you were watching carefully, he's becoming like visibly concerned and anxious, and he's just looking left and right at this place and sort of coming apart at the seams with every step that forward. He's becoming very, very, very concerned about what this place is and what his fate will be.
These guards take you to the crystal spire, and at the base of it, there's a doorway, but like there's no door in it, so it's like this it's an opening that leads to a spiral staircase. The spire itself is maybe like a 15-foot diameter, right? It seems like it's just large enough that you could put a spiral staircase in it. Climb to the top. You'll see the judge up there.
Any words of advice?
If you don't usually pray, maybe I'd start doing it on the way up. It might help.
Oh, well, yes, I'm a very devout man of prayer, so I will certainly do that. I would have done that already, but thank you for the advice.
Good luck.
Yes, I'm sure I won't need it. Okay, so Falzarin sort of trepidatiously steps forward into this spire and starts climbing the staircase. As he's going up, he's sort of thinking to himself, oh no, like, a god, what? I've never worshipped a god. I mean, Shakara, I don't really, not really a big fan of Dendar. But Mia, Thor seems all right. Maybe I could try and convince them that Mia and I are devout followers of Thor. And he's trying to remember, okay, what do I know about Thor? What does Mia typically do? Surely there's some lore that I've heard Mia talk about Thor that I can bring up to help, sell my case.
Okay, yeah. You have, you've seen in Almar's study, you saw, like, the gods, the lineage, right, of Thor, and like you certainly know the names of, like, his children and his wife. I mean, one of his kids being Talos, right? The Kralakina, that kind of stuff. So you certainly have, you do have quite a bit of knowledge about, like, Thor and even, like, Thor's family, right? Even, like, the lineage of those gods. So that may come in handy. That's a good idea.
Okay.
You're climbing for what seems like ever. Like, as long as it took you to physically get to this city, you were just climbing up these steps. And there are just so many steps. No other pathways off of them. It's just steps after steps after steps, and you're just climbing for. But you don't seem to fatigue, like, physically. It's kind of a different type of fatigue. Again, it's more like mental. Like, you don't get winded like you would normally, right? That kind of thing. It's more like, in addition to climbing, and then your thoughts racing, right? Trying to think about what you know about Thor, etc. That's where the fatigue comes in, and you, that kind of fogginess almost sets in again, as you're climbing, and you're able to shake it away and almost fend it off. But you get to the top finally, and it ends in a plain-looking wooden door with a circular iron handle.
Okay. Falzarin, again, he's sweating. He is literally, like I said, falling apart at the seams here. He's unraveling, sort of shakily reaches out. His hand visibly has, like, a tremor to it. Reaches for the handle and tries to open this door.
And it opens quite easily. You step across the threshold into an amphitheater that is just way too large to be set upon the narrow staircase of the spire. The walls are constructed from that same, like, crystalline material. Everything, and it is adorned along the whole circumference of it with tapestries depicting countless symbols of countless gods. The gray sky is oppressive above the open roof of this amphitheater. Seated upon a massive throne atop a dais, just offset from the center of this space, is a cloaked figure. Their hood drawn and cast shadows that obscure most of their face, only revealing the sneering black lips of their mouth. Sinewy bronze-skinned arms and hands with black fingernails, they grip a small gavel as they rest them on a table in front of them. There's this thick tome splayed open on the table. The pages are flipping and turning of their own accord without this figure touching them or interacting with it physically another way until they come to a rest. And your focus shifts to another person knelt before what can only be the judge. Their back is to you, and the judge speaks.
Lushki Ilmash of Aspara upon the immaterial plane, follower of a Monitor, you have been judged.
The figure slams the gavel onto the table with a loud bang. Lushki rises and looks up to the gray skies. They part very briefly, and it's strange though, because it's like the gray isn't cloud coverage, it's just gray. So it's almost like there's like a tear in the sky, or in like a material, or right? If it was a canvas, almost this like cut, and a brief flash of light. You can feel the warmth of it. It's sunlight, even for that fraction of a second. And the tear closes, and then standing before Lushki is this bear of a man. He glimmers and sparkles with sunlight. Long golden hair and a beard flow down his back and across his broad chest. And upon his head sits a crown of sorts. It's emblazoned with the sun and the crossing lines that you've seen and know that Lushki wears around her neck, the symbol of a Monitor. And her god takes her hand, and they both turn away from the judge and walk towards you. They seem stoic. Lushki shows no emotion at first as she meets your gaze. And as they move past you towards the door leading to the spiral stairs that you entered from, her facade seems to crack a little, and there's a sadness in her eyes as she gives you one last look before the two of them begin to descend the spire, and the door kind of slams shut behind them.
Falzarin is standing there, grasping his hand that he'd used to open the door, trying to conceal its shaking, kind of holding it against his chest or his stomach. Hello?
The judge beckons a hand forward.
Okay, Falzarin sort of looks left, looks right, takes in his surroundings, and very skittishly starts to approach.
As you're moving towards the center of the amphitheater, you get to like the point where Lushki was, right? And in the stone floor where you kind of come to stop, it's worn here. And it's the exact spot that Lushki was kneeling. It's like worn from countless people kneeling at this spot before the judge. Like an unknowable amount of souls passing through this spire to be judged. The pages begin to flip again of their own accord, coming to a rest.
Falzarin of Aspara upon the material plane, follower of none. You have been judged.
But I've been already. I thought, is there not more of a discussion? Should I can certainly provide you with some evidence maybe you don't have about what I've done in my life that it might be very useful for coming up with a judgment.
This figure raises the gavel.
No.
To slam it down.
No, just wait.
Roll me. You can roll a persuasion and try to plead your case as he kind of pauses with the gavel raised.
Oh, it's a he.
Yeah. It seems like it.
Falzarin's not going to have near as much
ability
to. Oh, Falzarin, why do you do this to me? You said it was a persuasion?
Yeah. Unless you want to try to intimidate.
I was hoping for Arcana. A 12.
Okay, what do you say? Plead your case. What are you gonna say?
Oh boy, it would be nice to know some of the rules for this judgment. Well, I saw this wall of the faithless, and I've noticed that you have labeled me as a follower of none. I would just like to say that, well, one of my very good friends is a follower of Thor, and I don't know if it's official, but Thor seems pretty good, pretty nice, and I've done a lot to try and better Aspara, where I come from. I've done a lot to try and stop evils abounding there. Surely it's not simply a black or white. Do you follow someone? Do you not? Oh dear.
You devote yourself to Thor?
Well, like I said, I don't know that Thor maybe knows that it's official or not. But, well, I guess.
Call to your god. The answer, received or not, shall decree your judgment.
Oh, okay. Oh dear. Alright, so Falzarin will kind of draw on his knowledge of Thor from spending time with Mia and reading some books pertaining to deities. Thor, almighty, powerful Thor, it is me, Falzarin, very, very close friend and ally of Mia Brightwood. I'm sure you've heard of her. I have also, you may remember, helped stop in their tracks this Kralakina, or Talos. I have done great things. Now would be an ideal time for us to perhaps strengthen our relationship.
Are you kneeling?
Yes. Yeah, I think Falzarin has seen that seems to be the common practice here, and he's far be it from him to have any pride in this situation.
Okay, so you've knelt. Imagine you're now looking up to the gray skies as you saw Lushki do as well. And a moment passes and nothing. Another moment, nothing. And the judge, gavel still raised, raises it a little higher in a movement to slam it. And there is a flash of lightning, followed by a rumble of thunder. And as the thunder tapers off, no figure appears before you, but from the lip of the amphitheater, a spindly spider leg reaches over the top of it, and then another, and a massive Nyogi crawls over the edge into the amphitheater, slinking up next to the judge and you. And this Nyogi, like, it's massive compared to what you've ever seen and fought, right? Like it stands like 15 feet tall, perhaps taller if it's stretched its neck all the way up. It looks thick, like the normal Nyogi, like a spider, like walking on spider legs. They look fragile, right? As if you could just pick them up and pluck them almost. But this thing is just, it looks like it has some weight to it, even in this weightless realm. Along its thorax, there is a very distinct green and purple coloring, almost like stripes, kind of running down the side of its body. And its mouth, when it opens its mouth as it begins to speak, it has like a double set of jaws inside of it. The outer set kind of opens up and shifts over top of the inner set. As it speaks to you, it's like it almost like creates this echo as it speaks to you. Kashkal will take him. I claim this one. I deem you to not be of the faithless. Should you accept my offer? An offer bequeathed to you by those you travel with?
Falzarin is very confused, but perhaps even more than he's confused, he is desperate in this moment. He looks up to where he saw the lightning and the crack of thunder, looks back toward this Nyogi creature, looks up, looks back. You say those that I am traveling with. Do you happen to know their names? Who specifically?
My emissary calls to me on behalf of Brightwood, Forge, and Shakara.
Oh.
To bring you back from this hell.
This is a bit unexpected. Oh, where's Thor? I was really hoping for Thor. Falzarin kind of looks down, looks at this very worn stone that he is uncomfortably kneeling on. Looks left, looks right. Remembers what he just saw entering here. And thinks back to Alamar in the wall. You know, I suppose that is a good offer that I would not like to turn down, especially if my close friends have petitioned for it. You don't suppose that there might also be room for another to come with me? You see, my friend, there must have been some mistake. Alamar, he's a worthy wizard like myself. I know we've just met. I don't want to ask for too much, but I told him that I would.
Your companions owe me a favor. Another soul would increase their debt.
Oh. What sort of favor?
One yet to be determined, but it will be costly.
Well, I hate to ask more of my friends. Kazgakal, if I can address you as such, perhaps I could owe you a favor. I'm reliable.
You wish to take that burden upon yourself and only you?
Well, I think it's only fair for my friend. I'm sure he would do the same for me.
Kashkals turns to the judge. I will claim them both, if you'll allow it. And you see the pages flip again.
Alamar Zelwick of Aspara upon the material plane has been judged. He can be removed from the wall. He may not be whole.
Well, I suppose, you can do what you can do, and I understand limitations. But that sounds great.
And the judge slams the gavel down once more. And Kashkal will move towards the door that you entered. Kind of holds out one of his giant pedipalp hands for yours.
Falzarin tries his best to suppress the disgust that's most definitely appearing on his face and in his body language and reaches out again, hand quivering visibly for anyone who's looking closely, and sort of just touches this spider limb.
And you move towards the door, and somehow just the two of you fit in this stairwell. It's just as if like it was always the size that it was. It doesn't grow. You don't witness it like becoming a larger space to fit this massive Neogi god and yourself. It just seems like that's just always the way it was. And you descend the stairs. Rather than the bottom of them opening to the city, they just, the threshold, you step over it and you're outside of the gates.
Alamar, are you there?
Valzarin!
I have great news.
Oh, what now?
Well, I pleaded your case, and I'm not totally sure exactly, but it seems like you may be able to return with me.
What? How?
I don't know that I fully understand, but this lovely this deity here has made us an offer. I knew if the tables were turned, you would have done the same, Alamar.
What deity is this?
Well, it's a bit of a mouthful. I believe, and he kind of glances over to the Neogi god. I believe it is Kajkazikakol.
As you were addressing Alamar, you see Kashkaz has put one of his little hands on the wall, and it's like as if he can shape it and like move and meld with the stone as he kind of clears it immediately of the few souls that are still able to reach out, and they're like clasping at him, right? They're calling for whatever god that they can think of to call for and plead with to take from this wall. And Kaskakal just bats away their grasping hands, like snapping at a few of them with his jaws, and reaches into the wall and begins to pull. And it's as if the stone becomes taffy, and he pulls on it and pulls, and like this long thread of it begins to pile at his feet. And as he's pulling more, you see like an arm come out in this stream of taffy stone, followed by a shoulder, and then a head, and the familiar face of Alamar, pulling and stretching and pulling until there's a pile at both of your feet. And the pile begins to like take shape, right? But it doesn't fully solidify right away. It's as if like the taffy, like you've shaped a Play-Doh person, right? Alamar looks malleable and flimsy, like as Alamar tries to take a step and almost topples back into the wall. If you like reach out to grab a hold of him, as you squeeze on his arm, like it leaves like finger indents in his arm as you take a hold of him and you grasp him, right? And you pull him and you catch him, and he stands upright again. You let go. The prints you left of him kind of like expand and fill in, like as if it reverts back to before the indentation, right? Very slowly, but it's clearly like starting to solidify and take form. And Kashkakal will brandish away from the city into the void. Let us go.
Yes, come, Alamar. We're going to leave this place.
As he's taking step after step, and he seems like he is also like learning to move in this new body as well. Still not quite becoming a person. There's just it's still like this amorphous form, right? Still resembles Alamar, but not quite as solid as you or Kaskakal is. But you begin to progress into the gray void. The city disappears behind you. You just turn, you look over your shoulder back to the wall as the moans cease. And maybe that triggers a look behind you, right? And then the city's just gone. You're back in the gray void. Moving, walking as if there's nothing below you, but still feel like solid beneath your feet. Until you get to a seam. And again, like it, with Kaskakal, the time, like the progress you're making seems almost instantaneous, right? Like in almost like a flash, the city is gone. You've been walking, and now you're at this edge. You can feel the edge. You feel the boundaries of this the fugue plane, but it's not something that you can see. It's more like you feel it intuitively, and you just understand that you've come to the end of something, and beyond that is nothingness, absolutely nothingness. And then before you, a shimmering portal opens. You can see beyond it, in the portal. It's almost like looking at a reflection of a pond as it ripples, but you can see your body out on the frozen lake. Shaft, Mia, and Shakara are standing around you, and knelt over your body, placing hands upon you, is a little goblin. And you recognize this goblin, the one that the paladins had, the one you saw at the Neoga cave. The portal, the rings around the portal are set ablaze. And Kaskakal steps to the two of you, kind of puts a hand on both of your shoulders, you and Gumby Alamar now. I'll be collecting your debt now. His grip tightens on your shoulder, and you can see his little hands digging into the malleable flesh of Alamar. He lifts both of you off of the ground. If there's something that you want to do in response, as clearly this is adversarial, right? Your magic is fast here. You may have a chance to do something.
Does Falzarin think that Dimension Door would be possible for him to cast in the current situation from what he's experienced so far? Because I've only tried a cantrip.
Mm-hmm.
And B, would be capable of teleport, like ending us in this portal. Like I would assume that Dimension Door wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know how the mechanics would work as far as trying to Dimension Door through an interplanar portal. But perhaps I could Dimension Door us just a short jump so that we're, a centimeter away from the portal and can jump through.
You can absolutely try. You are right. You're not sure how a more powerful type of magic may go here after only casting the Mage Hand. But if, Dimension Door is, you choose... Well, the thing is, you're on a different plane. So you probably would think that Dimension Door probably wouldn't take you through a portal, right? Like it's not an interplanetary form of travel. But there's nothing stopping you from trying.
Just worried that I'm going to completely screw our chances of actually being resurrected. I mean, I think Falzarin thinks that as tempting as it is to try and prevent whatever negative thing is happening to us right now, I think he appreciates that this is a god, and it is probably magnitudes more powerful than him. So, frick. My options are Dimension Door or Blink. Blink won't help Alamar at all, and either of those might be interpreted as, well, they're going to be interpreted as hostile and could completely shatter this deal that I've just worked toward. But the portal is right there. I guess a necessary question would be, is Alamar within 5 feet of me? Because if not, then Dimension Door is not going to work.
Yes, yeah. Like literally two, you're like side by side. There's a hand gripping each of you, kind of lifting you up off of the ground. Or off of the void, I should say.
You know what? I think I've made my decision. I think Falzarin appreciates that this could ruin his and Alamar's chances at being brought back to material plane, but also realizes that this is perhaps the source of the biggest evil that is plaguing Aspara right now, and it's a risk he's willing to take because he doesn't know how having a debt to this creature could prevent the party's ability to save Aspara from this plague. So he's going to try to cast Dimension Door and take Alamar with him, just to like I said, a centimeter from this portal, so that we can just fall through it.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yep. So he's going to try as quickly as he can to cast Dimension Door and reach out and grab Alamar to take him with him.
And like casting Mage Hand, it happens much more quickly. Like it's almost as if you snap your fingers rather than recite an incantation. And why don't you roll me a percentile.
64.
As you are dimensioning, right? As you're doing this quick cast, in like the flash of a second, that Kachikal grabs onto the two of you, lifts you up, and begins to just throw you into the void. You grab a hold of Alamar, and you Dimension Door in a place where distance and direction is almost meaningless. But you do your best to focus on the point and put all of your mental fortitude into directing you and Almar to where you want to go, to the mouth of the portal. And unfortunately, you did not roll within the number that we needed for that percentile, the chance for it to happen. And you end up in the gray. You end up past the border where there is nothing. And there isn't even like a void floor that you and Almar are walking on. And as you're teleporting away, you see just Kachikal turns towards the portal to enter it.
Crap.
And there's nothing. The portal, Kachikal goes through it. The portal closes behind him, and you and Almar are left there in the gray void.
That's it. That's all we have for you. That's our show. Be sure to follow us on the social media. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all on the website, incorrigibleparty.com. You get all kinds of information there. Incorrigible Party is sponsored by Critical Hit Design, you know. And all ambient sounds and music during the episodes are courtesy of tabletopaudio.com. And our intro and outro music was created by Josh Jarvis. You can find him at jamesmercymusic@gmail.com. Now scram. Happy adventuring.